with Dracula Untold, the interesting thing about that was developed and shot as just your generic fantasy film.
Yeah.
As it was developed as just, hey, let's do a Dracula origin story where he fights the Turks. Let's take inspiration from the very real Vlad Tepes and the very real war that happened and threw vampires in, because that's tasteful.
I mean, it is. I mean, it's been centuries since that, so who cares?
And then it wasn't until, I think, they had wrapped production on shooting it.
Right.
And then Universal, the heads above the Dracula Untold producers, were like, hey, we want to make a monster universe. And then
Okay.
really quick, while it was in post, they were like, okay, Luke Evans, is it Luke Evans?
Yeah.
Yeah, Luke Evans signed his contract
Really?
for a multi-deal, and also we're going to do these reshoots to tie it in.
Oh wait, so was Charles Dance not in the original cut?
He was in the original cut as the master vampire, like in the olden day times, but that last scene where they're in modern day,
It's a reshoot.
it's completely in reshoot.
Yeah.
And the film originally had a really dark ending where it just ends with him dying.
Cool.
And then that was just the end.
I mean,
which is weird,
there's your Dracula.
the last 5 minutes teases it to be a sequel, but it also wraps it up with like voiceover to say, "Oh, he's gone," and I'm like, "Well, what was your plan before this?"
It's really weird because it's kind of fighting between trying to be like a fantasy olden timey tale, but also Twilight. Like,
yeah, and I see the reason I don't think the film took off is because it was called Dracula.
I think it didn't took off is because it was very bland, generic, like kind of like the things like the I Frankensteins and the you know these things that are just they're just a product commercial.
I think people were going in expecting like Dracula, bleh, and then when they got like a kind of bland, like dramatic, oh, Dracula's a nice man, he had a family.
But Logan, if you called it something else, it would still be the same crap movie that didn't take off or be good.
It just wouldn't make as much money.
Yeah, like I don't think the name is the problem. I think the movie being.
I just think. Like, if you already have... My point is, if you already have a bland movie, which I saw it again recently, like, really recently, it's fine. If you have an already bland movie, and you retitle it Dracula, the expectations go from low to high.
No, but what do you title it? He is Dracula. It's based on the real Dracula. And it's literally an adaptation of him, but it's boring. So, like...
I don't.
It's him. There's a reason why the tale was untold, Logan. There's a reason why it was untold.
I can't even say it's a flawed concept because as a pitch, it's interesting to me. It's a good book. It's just directed really poorly, I guess.
It's a good book. It's not a good movie, you know.
Yeah, but so they did that reshoot, let the games begin to tie into their universe.
What would a sequel have been? Like, is he Wolf of Wall Streeting it? Like what?
Well, here's the thing. In The Mummy, why wasn't Henry Jekyll or Charles Dance?
I mean, like, I you know what? There's a lot of really stupid reboots that have happened that you were like, why don't you just... Like, look, sorry to pull it completely into a whole different thing, but the reason I'm bringing this up is, like, I know that the new Planet of the Apes films are good. Like, the new trilogy, I don't think there's going to be any more. Apparently there's going to be a TV series, but the trilogy, the new one, they're great, yeah? And there was an attempt to make a franchise in 2001 with Tim Burton's one. Now, it wasn't good, but when I saw Rise of the Planet of the Apes, I saw that and I was like, oh, this is a prequel to the 2001 one. Because there's no reason it doesn't... There's no
nothing
reason
about it negates it.
Exactly, yeah. So, I think, you know... With The Mummy, there's also no reason why Dracula Untold's there. It's just, I guess, for some reason, because it didn't do that well, they just want to be like, it's not... I guess what Marvel did with Incredible Hulk, but they're just stuck with it. Whereas the others aren't stuck with it. It's like the Fantastic Four with X-Men. Like, Fantastic was definitely just ready to insert itself into Fox's X-Men until it was shit, and then it was like, no. No.
Yeah, of course. And now it's just if we don't reference it, people will forget it quicker.
Exactly.
But
yeah, I actually would have liked The Mummy better if Charles Dance was that character.
I also think they just didn't want to tie it in because they didn't have the branding yet. Because they were so confident with that branding.
You know why? It's because it's really good branding. Like it's so genius that you're like, you can't not do it. Like, it's too tempting.
Yeah. And the fact that it wasn't on Dracula Untold because it hadn't been properly established yet, like the offices and everything. I think that makes it feel more awkward. So it's like, no,
Yeah, but you know what's really
if we just call the Mummy the first one, it's easier.
But you know what's really annoying though. Like Marvel have changed their logo a couple times in the MCU, and there's also been different logos at the beginning of some of the MCU. So I think it's fine. Like you don't have to. You don't need to be a George Lucas and everything to fit exactly like neatly in. Like, look at Sam Raimi. The Evil Dead trilogy is made by 3 different fucking studios. Like,
Oh, yeah. I don't know. Just like half of the higher up producers are like, yes, this is genius. We've already started, and then the people who are directly working on the Dark Universe are like, please shut up. We haven't started.
do you think at all any of them would have wanted to make a sequel? Like the writers, the directors, the actors. Do you think
Dracula Untold or the Mummy? I think so. I think Gary Shaw, the director, probably wanted to do some kind of trilogy. And like I said, like,
but from the start, like from when they made the first one.
Yeah, I think so.
And would you have wanted to watch?
I don't know. I'd have to have seen a trailer.
Because you know what? Now that I've seen Moffat and Gatiss' Dracula, I just wonder, like, there's nothing that those films could have done. Like, there's There's literally nothing they could have... Even in the shit concept where you bring him to the modern day, like, there's literally nothing else you could have done.
I mean, I guess if that's the tone you've got and the groundwork is that boring, like the first opening layer is that boring, you could either go, well, the only way is up, or you can go, the foundation is shit. Nothing's going to come of this.
And I guess that happened to the Hulk, but that's a whole rights thing, so, that's...
Yeah. Dark Universe. Speaking of the Mummy,
let's go on to the Mummy. Now, when this was coming out, were you excited for it?
I was really excited to it because when the Mummy came out, or when it was just about to come out, this was when I first really got into the monsters. It wasn't because of the Mummy film, but it was just by happenstance about a year and a half before the Mummy trailers came out, I really got into the monsters.
Yeah.
So I was like, yes, it's being represented in cinema. Awesome.
And I was so excited. At the same time to that trailers for that film coming out, they obviously released a trailer for the Dark Universe.
A fantastic, great video that I watch all the time.
I loved it. But to me, it really tickled my editing fucking... it really was like, look at this.
My problem with that video is that I don't see the appeal it has with modern audiences. For me, it works really well if you want to pitch the Dark Universe to Universal executives. It's a pitch video, but in terms of putting it out there for the public audience, they don't care.
But you know what? I think you're looking at it a bit too wrong, because I'm all about... to me, I understand legacy in storytelling and in fiction, and I feel like, obviously, we live in a very nostalgia-milking climate anyway, where if you have a brand, you milk it for what you can make money out of it, and that's fine, because that's what you need people to buy into, these big kind of areas. And it worked, and these were popular, and they're everlasting, and everyone knows what they are, and there's a potential to do something, rise it to the height of popularity like other things have done. Now... What I think was kind of is with the trailer, like if you implied what I interpreted, I don't know why I interpreted it. I just saw it and I was like, okay, well, I guess they're trying to evoke what those films represented, but in a more shared narrative, and potentially like the way because I kind of had two minds in it. I kind of thought, one, they're completely remaking these stories from scratch in a new climate that's a more interconnected way, like the way Once Upon a Time. I thought they were either doing Once Upon a Timing it, where it's like we're defining the origins of these characters in a new modern day climate that's a shared narrative,
right?
Or they're literally making an MCU carbon copy where they're standaloning these monsters and they're kind of legacy to old historical stories, like maybe in the same universe, like maybe they're reincarnated and it's like a returning form, like every so decades these monsters come and it's the age of monsters, because that's what I got from the trailer.
Well, I can say something about that, but I can wait till you finish.
That's okay, because we'll get to that. But the only reason I thought that as well is because that's what kind of Fede Alvarez did with the Evil Dead remake. And I think you get a trope of horrors every so and so years. It returns because horror has the return from the dead element. Nightmare on Elm Street, Friday the 13th, Halloween. All these things come back. Evil Dead, everything comes back. So I guess it's right for Universal Monsters to kind of,
especially if half these characters are undead. But like, I don't. Sometimes I think that they would. I mean, they're very obviously making up as they were going along half the time.
But that's like, what the best people do. They just make it look like it was flawless.
George. The thing is, the woman in the Tom Cruise Mummy.
Oh yeah.
Her last name is Halsey, and
when you say the woman, do you mean his love interest or the mummy?
I mean,
the only two women in the film.
His love interest, Elizabeth Halsey, who's the archaeologist.
Okay.
She shares the same last name as the mentor character in the second film, The Mummy's Hand.
Okay.
And in the tie-in phone game for the Mummy 2017, they directly tied them together. What? Like, this person is this person's great-great-granddaughter. And I'm like, so is the Mummy 2017, which is also a pseudo-sequel to the Brendan Fraser Mummy,
part of the original.
So does the canon go, the Brendan Fraser series, and then the original sequels, and then the Mummy 2017?
What's really funny is that's actually a really weirdly interesting fact of trivia, but the brain fart getting to it of the decision making was so uninteresting that I was like, what? You did a whole history thing from a mobile game?
I don't know. Yeah, why would you not put that in the film?
You know what? It's literally like Palpatine returning in Fortnite.
It is. It literally is
Fortnite.
Because otherwise it's just a cute Easter egg, and then the game is like, no, this is an animated picture of them both.
That's literally you going, Michelle Pfeiffer and Catwoman, same universe.
Michelle Pfeiffer is in the same universe, but we're not doing this now.
Okay, now, you just watched The Mummy for the first time. What do you think of it?
Okay. I far from hated it.
Really?
I'm not gonna say it's a great movie.
Is it as boring as Dracula Untold?
I don't think it remotely is. And you know what? I feel like people were hating on this movie to hate on it. I feel like it's not a good movie. It's definitely not a good movie. I think
it's like the Rebecca Black thing or the Twilight thing. If it's bad, it's bad, but people hate on it more. But it is like it's got. You know what I mean?
I finished that film and I didn't understand why it was the worst thing ever. And I finished it going, okay, this could have been a better film easily. But if not even just as someone who wants to work in film, as an audience member, I was like, not even apprehensively, I'd easily watch a second one. I have enough faith in this to see where this goes.
I wouldn't, because when I watched it, I kind of just didn't really
care.
Not even just care. I felt so passive that I was like, I don't remember anything. You know what I remember? And here's what's funny. Here's the only things I remember. I remember the guy from New Girl.
Yes, Jake Johnson.
Literally every time he was on screen, I remember every bit he was in very vividly, and that's mostly it. And I remember the bit where Tom Cruise kisses the mummy to death. And
I think maybe I like it more because I was going in expecting a complete dumpster fire. So when I saw just a mediocre film, it's the contrast. Like, oh, okay, that was actually pretty good.
I don't remember what the narrative is. I remember some of the set pieces, but that's it. See, it's like the way with Batman v Superman. I barely remember the movie. I just remember the really ridiculous bits. Yeah, and there's a lot of really ridiculous bits, but I don't actually remember anything about the plot of Batman v Superman. But I remember more of that than I do remember about the Mummy. And I've only seen the Mummy once.
It wasn't well written, and at times the editing is really aggravating. And Tom Cruise is
a younger man. You are a younger man.
He's horrifically miscast in this film.
So who should he have been and who should have been him?
He should have been like a Chris Pratt type.
So Chris Pratt should have been that character.
Leaning on the Brendan Fraser thing. And done it as the rogue character.
Is there a reason why you couldn't just have had Brendan Fraser back and have...
Because all of his bones are broken from these films. And he's a broken man.
Okay, let's pretend he's not broken. Yeah, like what do you say that he's back? This is Mummy 4, but it's not called Mummy 4. It's just called
It's
like
just a reboot with the same actor.
no. Well, yeah, but basically you still have the female mummy. Yeah, like her,
Uh,
she's a thing, but it's just another mummy, and he's there. Or what would you do if at the end of it he pops up like a Nick Fury, like, "Hey, Tom Cruise, it's me, Rick O'Connell. I'm here to talk to you
oh my
about the
god.
Monster Squad initiative."
I'd have loved that if they made him up if they made him up to look like 90 years old.
Yeah,
That would have been great.
yeah.
I don't know enough
No. He's not
people.
90. He's like got bit by a vampire. He's got mummy
Oh,
youth,
okay.
and he's
You
like
know what?
de-aged.
You know what? I'd be like, this is so batshit insane. I'm into it.
Yeah.
I mean, the funny thing is, and so many people actually asked Alex Kurtzman this while the film was coming out. He actually had to come out with a statement, and I don't think he quite understands what people wanted. What everyone wanted was they wanted Brendan Fraser to make a cameo, just because that's fun. That's nice.
Yeah. Of
His
course.
career wasn't going well, and Alex Kurtzman responded to everyone going, "Why isn't Brendan Fraser in the movie?" Going, "Well, our movie takes place in the 2000s, and logistically the timeline doesn't match up, and that's why the actor Brendan Fraser couldn't have been in this movie."
That sentence is very confusing for a few reasons, but
Yeah,
you know.
yeah, no, exactly. It's like he mistook give an actor a cameo because his career's not going well for why isn't this canonically the same character in this movie?
Yeah, but you know what's really weird? Like it's like the T-1000 was in Genesis. Like but did anyone say him?
No,
It's like, it's like, what's the point?
I don't know.
You got? Have we got any more things about the mummy? Or do you want to talk about the Dr. Jekyll thing first?
I don't know why he's in the movie.
And the whole prodigium thing, like that shield.
I think it's forced, but I didn't hate it as much as I wanted to. I was watching it going, yeah, this is blatantly just such a copy. But at the same time, I'm going, you know what? Your goal here is to force these Easter eggs and force this universe, and you could have done it.
It basically feels
Worse.
like anytime you assume a big franchise thing is coming out and it's not going to be good, when you assume a franchise thing is going to be bad, you assume that they have a checklist that they got to hit, and it's films like Rise of Skywalker or any Transformers film or any kind of, you know, established franchise commercial thing that isn't actually artistically good or got effort into it in a big way. And this is one of them where it's like, okay, we need to have an organization. He needs to be a Nick Fury type. We need to put background details like vampire teeth and creature from the Black Lagoon and
the whole film
and we need to
grinds to a complete halt.
Yeah, it's Amazing Spider-Man 2.
Film.
It's Amazing Spider-Man 2 again.
Yeah, but except in Amazing Spider-Man 2, all that stuff was at the end. This is in the middle of the movie, and the film just stops.
It wasn't. But no, it wasn't. Like it was like, you know, you had, first of all, Mary Jane was cut out, but you had the whole what's her name, Felicia Black Cat thing.
Yeah,
and then you had like so many other, like his parents and the other fucking like. And I feel like in this, it just goes to that one bit where it's like, hey, the middle of this film is an advert for the franchise.
Yeah. And I think that that would have played better like at the end, or maybe like as a post credit scene or something. But just to put it in the middle of the film and to grind your plot to a complete halt, just to go creature hand, Dracula teeth. Oh look, Tom Cruise is noticing this stuff. This place is weird. It's so in your face, and
to me that the
distracts
best
from the rest of the film.
Yeah, no, I agree, because to me, like the way you completely do that in the right way is, I think the perfect formula for it is, I think there's a number of examples, but the one that comes straight to mind is Split, where you just make a very small, good independent story that's like either small scale as possible or just something that's a contained narrative, and then you slap people with it like being attached to something that they know and like. So I think if the Mummy if you really went small scale with it and you had like an archaeologist like studying the pyramids and gets stuck in a tomb and awakens a fucking like undead mummy in it, and it's like a kind of Descent, like the Descent kind of film, or As Above So Below. So maybe you combine a bit of found footage with it, and it's like, you know, and you do a thing like that, and then at the end he gets rescued by Rick O'Connell as Brendan Fraser, or I don't know, you do something like that, or I don't know, you bring like he gets rescued at the end, and then you see you rescued him as maybe Hugh Jackman as Van Helsing. I don't know. There's loads of wild cards that you can do with that, but I feel like if you focus on a just contained inside bottle episode type film.
Yeah, exactly. Because then you care about that. You have no reason to care about this other stuff amongst this other film. But the Russell Crowe character, it's Henry Jekyll for the sake of getting another monster in there, and it's
why does his hand register him as a different character, even though he's in the same body?
Yeah, that was really dumb, wasn't it?
And why is he injecting himself? Why does he not like have a? Didn't the original one just have a potion? Wasn't it just a potion in the first one?
Yeah, this one is like a disease that he has to stop. Like it's inside him, and it's not something he's putting in himself.
It's split. It's just the split disease, I guess.
But the thing is, he didn't look any different when he became Mr. Hyde. But I digress.
Oh yeah, he became a little bit scary.
He had yellow eyes like a Sith.
Yeah, only a Sith deals in absolutes.
My thing is, that character should have been Van Helsing, and to me that would have been natural. Just going, I'm Henry Jekyll. I go, why?
Well, yeah, like Van Helsing seems a bit more logical because he's
Van Helsing is literally a monster hunter.
Yeah.
So it just would have made sense for what they were doing. Yeah. I guess they just wanted that Hyde set piece, but you could have had like Mr. Hyde in a cage or something.
But Mr. Hyde is so clearly a villain. Like he's clearly an antagonist that they should fight.
If you're doing it like it's something he's going to turn into unless he gets his meds, you could have had him meet Van Helsing and then Mr. Hyde is in like a cage somewhere and gets let loose. You could have had the exact same set piece, but just having Henry Jekyll as the leader of Prodigium. I can't believe I'm talking about this.
Prodigium. What is Prodigium? Like, what is that name? Like,
it means something in some language.
Does it mean let the games begin?
I think it means terror or some shit. I don't know.
Does it mean the age of gods and monsters?
Oh, again, the film sets such a low bar that's such a great moment. Because the film sets your expectations so low that when they do that, you go, yay!